So today I'm here to talk to you about back pain. We had some really intelligent questions come in through social media regarding back pain and our upcoming Healthy Backs workshop in September, from September 25th to September 27th. It's going to be an amazing weekend workshop where we're going to teach 5 two-hour classes, all centered around back care and taking care of different aspects of back pain. So some of us will experience back pain as lower back pain. Some of us will experience lower back pain as only even having back pain on one side or the other. And some of us will experience having back pain in the upper back, neck, and shoulders. These are all really common. And they're actually so common that it's said that 50% of the US population says that they experience back pain. I was blown away when I heard that number. And here's the other thing. Experts actually say that over someone's lifetime, 80% of people will experience some sort of pain in their back or some sort of back ailment. And this makes perfect sense. Our spine is vulnerable these days. We have moved from a population of people across the world, really, who work with our bodies daily. In the many years ago, we were farming the land. We were raising our families at home. We were walking long distances to get to things like school and town and all over the place. And our bodies were really in a constant state of physical motion. And now we are finding ourselves more driving in our cars more often. We're commuting back and forth to work. We're spending hours upon hours at computer screens, sitting in comfortable office chairs that allow us to take on this shape where we can type and be comfortable in the moment. And we are also really using furniture so much more as we have access to television and Netflix and all sorts of entertainment on our screens, not to mention the phones and how just holding your phone brings your shoulders forward and creates this roundness in your upper back. This really will start to disintegrate the spine over time. And when you come to yoga and you have some sort of back pain, whether it's lower back, upper back, whether it's a slip disc problem or an SI problem, or just inflammation in your spine that radiates out into your ribs, all of these can be super uncomfortable. And when you come to yoga, it's not like you do a yoga pose and you feel better in the pose. Actually, it's quite the opposite. So when you come to yoga to work on back pain, we want you to experience more of that sensation, feeling. Some people would even call it excruciating or very painful in the pose, so that you can then leave the yoga practice and experience less pain in your life. And I know that this has been my experience. I know it's been Eddie's experience. I came to yoga and was somewhat flexible in some areas of my body, but I had a very rounded upper back and I had no self-confidence. And so my shape over many, many years, and from the side, you can really see my shape was this. My head was forward, my shoulders were forward, and my upper back was super round, and I can still recreate that. And when I would start to bend over things such as bolsters and chairs and blocks, trying to get this openness of my chest, it was excruciating for me. Because the upper back being so rounded and then being asked to open so much through yoga, the pressure went into my lower back and into my neck. And so when I would practice these poses, I felt like I was torturing myself. And what started to happen though, in the poses, it was everything I had to hang on, to just believe, to have faith. In order to heal yourself in yoga, you have to have complete faith and trust in the process and in just yoga in general. And so what I started to realize is that over time, I would leave class and I would feel better in my life. I wouldn't feel the irritating, aggravating left lower back pain that I was experiencing on a very heightened level day to day. So at the time, I was working in an office and I was also commuting a couple hours a day. And I would just be in the car on the way home doing anything I could with my body to move away from the pain. And this is our body's natural response. And so not only was I having this pain, but then I was having this contortion of my body that really wasn't healthy for building a strong foundation from which to heal from. So the yoga practice asks us to really face our pain and run towards it. As BKS Iyengar said, we need to chase our pain and chase it right out of our body so that it doesn't chase us. Because the thing with back pain is that it does not let you choose when it rears its ugly head. So you could be feeling okay one day, and then if you just keep doing your normal routine and not addressing your back pain, it chooses when it wants to come out and haunt you. And it really seems to come out at just the most inappropriate of times. And so when we use yoga, we have to be willing to sit in that pain a little bit longer, to know deep inside of ourselves that eventually that pain will subside and we'll be able to function more easily in our day-to-day life. And when this happens, it's actually kind of beautiful and a little bit surprising. But I was in so much pain in yoga, in my back, trying to heal my back. And all of a sudden, one day, I went to do a chair back bend, which was my least favorite pose to do because it really, really hurt. And there was no pain. The pain was gone. I had all of a sudden, all the work I'd been doing to open my chest, to get a lift in my spine, had paid off. And when I went to back bend over the chair, that there was no more pressure because I was able to lift in my upper back and chest so much that the pressure was completely gone. This happened with both my lower back and with my neck. And so if you're someone who's practicing yoga and you're experiencing back pain, it's really helpful to look above and below where you're experiencing that pain. And so sometimes in yoga, we'll experience back pain because our legs are really strong. And strong is another word for stiff. But when we come to yoga and we have stiffness in our legs, or we have really strong legs from being an athlete or working out, when we go to stretch those legs, it's just like the story of my upper back. The legs are stiff, there's pressure that's created from stretching them, and it goes into the lower back. And so we have to be willing to move through this pain to find freedom. And so many people will get driven away from the yoga practice because it's not simple. It's not like taking an ibuprofen and getting out of pain for a short period of time. We're going for the long haul when we use yoga to work with ailments in our body. And so for me, and I know Eddie can share the same duration, same story almost. it took me several years to get out of pain. And I said earlier, it was like one day the pain was gone. Yes, one day, all of a sudden I didn't have pain. But it had been years of practice, and I'm going to say between 4 and 5 years of practice to get to that place. But the beautiful thing about yoga and back pain is that once you get there, you know exactly what to do anytime your back pain flares up. And so now it's very rare that I will experience back pain for more than a day. Because if something gets triggered and something happens within my body, I know exactly what I need to do. And I've had years of practice doing it to alleviate that pain, sometimes immediately, and sometimes it's just a day or two of practice to be able to get out of that pain. So it's super powerful to use yoga to heal ailments in your body. But something that you have to really understand is that you have to have patience and you have to have complete faith that this is going to work for you. Because if you don't have that faith, you won't dedicate, you won't commit, and that's really what it takes. It takes an uninterrupted commitment to the practice to be able to really cause effect in your body, to be able to really bring relief to your body from those ailments. And back pain is no joke. We understand it is extremely scary and it can be very debilitating. It can take you out of being able to pick up your children. It can take you out of being able to just navigate your life on a day-to-day basis. At one point, even opening a car door was very difficult for me because of the pain in my back. And so we understand that it's really hard to go, oh my gosh, it's really going to take me years to get out of this pain. Maybe it might take you years. Maybe it would be shorter for you. But what you can definitely, what I have been able to experience by using yoga for my back pain has been that there's a longevity to the healing. That it's not just taking an ibuprofen to get rid of swelling and take away pain for a period of time, but that it's actual healing that builds stability in the area that is inflamed, the area that is affected, and it really can bring about long-term healing, which is what we really want, because we're not going to stop commuting to work, and we're not going to stop working on a computer or being on our phone or picking up our children. So in order to live our lives without pain or pain-free, yoga can be an incredible practice to incorporate into your lifestyle. So as I said, there are many different types of back pain, and one of the most popular, if you want to call it popular, but one of the most common, we'll say, one of the most common back pain ailments is disruption in the SI joint. And the SI joint is a sacroiliac joint. It's the sacred bone. It's shaped like a triangle, and it sits right below our lower back and in between our hips. And this area is very vulnerable, especially in women. Women who have children and birth children through the birth canal, this area gets stretched to make that possible. And so there becomes an instability. Also, women have more flexibility oftentimes in this area, in the hips and in the legs. And so when we come to yoga and we rely solely on our flexibility, we actually have the ability to disrupt the sacroiliac joint and to bring too much movement into this area, which then causes things like nerve impingement, and where you'll feel just really intense pain on one side of your back. The sacroiliac joint, when it moves, it actually tilts and it twists. And so it can really wreak a lot of havoc. And everywhere we travel, I always ask the question in class, how many of you have lower back pain on one side of your lower back? And I'll watch the hands just come up all around the room, because so many of us are living with that type of pain. And that was one of my experiences with back pain. And so some things that we can do are things like asymmetrical back bends, asymmetrical standing poses, one-legged back bends. And so these are all things that we are going to be sharing with you in our Healthy Backs workshop, and also things that we share weekly in our Monday Healthy Backs live Zoom class. And so there are definitely ways to work with the SI joint. And if you're looking for something immediately that you want to put into your mind when you practice, it's to ask yourself, am I stretching my body to my maximum? Am I pulling my joints out of stability into instability? And this is a really hard question, because we, especially right now, being home and not being able to go to a studio, not being able to rely on a teacher, we have to really internalize our practice and ask ourselves those hard questions. The ego, and this is how I came across a lot of my pain, is my ego would push me in a direction that was beyond my threshold. And I would go there because I had a little bit of flexibility. I would find myself pushing in that direction. And that is what would aggravate my SI joint. And still to this day, when my ego takes over in my practice and I push myself beyond where I'm supposed to go in my pelvis, that little spot right in my left lower back starts speaking to me. And I know at that point that I've gone too far. And so that's the question you can ask yourself. Am I stretching to my maximum potential because I want to do the deepest pose that I can? Or am I creating stability in my flexibility? Because oftentimes when you come to yoga with flexibility, you need to cultivate more strength, because you can already do the poses, the general shape, but can you create that strength, that stability, that foundational support to be able to use your practice for an entire lifetime and not have your practice be something that hinders your experience in your life, or that pulls you away from yoga because you got hurt doing yoga? That is something that we find very sad these days, is so many people are getting hurt in yoga classes. And absolutely, if you're a dedicated, authentic, genuine practitioner, you are going to experience injury in yoga. It is part of the process. But to hear so many people getting hurt in yoga class, especially feeling those areas of their backs having started in the yoga class, this can be avoided. And so this is what we're going to be sharing with you in the Healthy Backs workshop. And we're going to be using a number of postures for the SI joint and SI imbalance, and also using a number of poses to share with you about supporting yourself if you're somebody who has herniated or slipped discs. So this is the other part of back pain that I have experience with. And a lot of times we'll hear about someone throwing their back out. And for those of you who have experienced this, this is excruciating. And this goes beyond the pain that I've ever experienced in a yoga practice when I'm working with my back. The pain that you feel from herniating a disc is unmatched. It's debilitating. It takes you down. You can't move in some circumstances. And every time you try, you cringe, you cease. There's tension that comes and grips into the body because the body is trying to protect you from the injury. And so I have a couple of really problem areas in my upper back from that roundness, from all those years of pushing my discs back. I have major instability there that I have to work on a regular basis. And so every so often, those areas will go out. And I'll do something like twisting and lifting or something that I know I shouldn't be doing. And it will cause those areas to go out and for me to literally hit the floor. And so we're going to be sharing practices that can help you get out of that acute pain, as well as practices that can help you over a long duration if you're somebody who's dealing with chronic back pain. And so we're super excited to dive into Healthy Backs. Again, it's September 25th to the 27th, and we'll be sharing 5 2-hour classes specifically dedicated to healing your back and just healthy back care practices in general. We're so excited for this, and we really hope that you'll join us on this journey. And if you can't make those dates, we teach a Healthy Backs class every single Monday on Zoom. And we are live in that class. So we actually have the ability to work one-on-one with you in a class setting if you're somebody who's dealing with back pain in the present moment.